Good day, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okoro. We begin the news with the latest on the multiple explosions in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. Two camps for those displaced by the Boko Haram insurgency were attacked by suicide bombers late on Sunday and early on Monday. Police say 4 people were killed in that attack while 15 others were wounded. No one has claimed responsibility, but it's suspected that Boko Haram is behind it. The use of suicide bombers is a tactic usually adopted by the sect. At least one of the bombers was a woman. Meanwhile, the Nigerian police force say they have arrested 6 Boko Haram suspects in Abuja and Kano State. 5 of the suspects were arrested in Kano, while the only one was arrested in Abuja. A statement issued by the police say the suspects have confessed to their actions. Nigeria has been battling Boko Haram for about 8 years now. The group has killed more than 20,000 people and displaced more than 2.4 million others. Nigeria will from February 2018 begin to host a yearly International Petroleum Summit in Abuja. The acting president, Yemi confirmed this when he declared open an extraordinary session of the Council of Ministers of the African Petroleum Producers Organization in Abuja. Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachiko, had earlier in the year given a hint on this plan. No fewer than 18 ministers of oil-producing countries that make up uphold were in attendance at the extraordinary session in Abuja.
But also the paradox is inescapable, that we need oil to get out of our dependency on oil. So the capacity to add value to the crude oil that we extract is crucial. The whole range of petrochemical enterprise remains a largely untapped option for growing industrial opportunities, creating jobs, and increasing our chances of delivering on our national and continental commitments to inclusive growth. We must leverage our oil resources to fund and to support our ambition to create economies fit and ready for the 21st century. In Nigeria, we are pursuing a series of reforms along these lines, combining executive and legislative action to create a sector that is more efficient, more transparent, and more attractive to domestic and foreign investment. We are also making progress in fine-tuning and implementing our local content policy. And that, I must say, is one area that is critical to the future of Apple. Indeed, that was one of the reasons why Apple was created, to provide a platform that will support and empower African countries to build and exploit local capacity and technology to the fullest.
How do we ensure that those of us who are blessed with natural resources like oil and gas are able to take those benefits out to the rest of Africa to ensure that we have adequate power, that we have adequate energy tools to be able to run our economy, and that the economies of scale in terms of distance of supply we utilize to the best of our advantages to make this work. So you see therefore that because of the challenges that the oil sector poses, the expectation from you today is not one of a conservative movement from point A to point B. It is rather one of a radical transformation of this organization to make it be worth your while. And Nigeria, having given birth to this organization, intends to play a solid leadership role, working collaboratively with all of us to move our organization fairly rapidly, fairly quickly, along the lines of what we try to do in our local industry in Nigeria.
Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha says he expects President Muhammadu Buhari to return home from the UK within the next 2 weeks. The governor was a member of a delegation who met the president in London on Sunday evening. The president has been receiving treatment in the UK for an undisclosed illness. His absence has led to some anxiety in Nigeria, with some speculating that he may have died. Others are worried he may not return to the country and also return to duty. The presidency later released images of the president at the meeting with governors from his party. It is the first time he has been pictured in London since leaving Nigeria almost 80 days ago. Since his absence, Vice President Yemi has assumed presidency of the country. The Norwegian Refugee Council says food crisis in northeastern Nigeria is expected to worsen between now and the end of August. This will move the country closer to famine, the agency says. Food security experts say they anticipate a rise in the number of people threatened by severe hunger in the region to rise from 4.7 million to 5.2 million by the end of August. The region is worst affected by the Boko Haram insurgency. About 46,000 refugees who escaped to Chad, Niger and Cameroon from their hometown in Borno State, northeast Nigeria, have returned to the country. This was confirmed by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. The agency also revealed it had commenced distribution of relief materials, food and non-food items to them. The Banki border town used to be the commercial center, but now the converging point for the returnees in the face of the Boko Haram insurgency. As the floods get worse in some parts of Lagos, the state government has ordered owners of properties built on drainage channels to immediately vacate. A statement signed by Lagos State Commissioner for Environment said the buildings were impeding the free flow of water. He listed some of the areas where such properties could be found as Ilubirin, Dolphin Estate, Osborne Foreshore Estate, Ikoyi, Ikota, Lekki, among others. An unprecedented flood has taken over major cities in Lagos, leaving many residents homeless. At least 15 political parties here in Nigeria have formed an alliance ahead of the 2019 general elections. The parties will now be known as the Coalition for New Nigeria, CNN. Abdulkadri Abdulsalam, who is the national chairman of the coalition, said the parties were determined to chart a new course for the country.
Our first objective is to reclaim the soul of Nigeria from the evil cabal that has held its hostage for a long time and then embark on a reconciliation drive. Hence, we pronounce ourselves as the coalition for New Nigeria, committed to 1. Economic, political, and internal restructuring of Nigeria. 2. Empowering our youth, women, and persons with disability through a well-articulated policy towards a better Nigeria. Respect for the rule of law and protection of our democratic institutions. Build a nation of great dreams and worthy of accomplishments. A nation where equity and justice shall be our guiding principle. A holistic fight against corruption with a soul and determination to abolish of hunger and poverty across the land.
We have been talking seriously on how we can run a successful government in Nigeria and trying to see what we can do to make the real change happen. We are aware of all the things going on in the country. We are seeing it, we are part of it. So that is why we look deeply into this and now trying to see what we can do to form our own system in approaching the present situation on ground on how we can work and present a credible candidate for 2019 general election. So our intention is to work on a credible candidate for 2019 general election.
Well, when our coalition is in place, it becomes old. The old has not led us to anything proper. The new will lead us to the actual thing all of you desire. We are for new Nigeria. Our new Nigeria will be all inclusive. Systems will work. Institutions will, the functions of institutions will be well defined and they will stay to it.
And more on our top stories. It's been 2 days since Lagos State held its local government election. The results have just been announced. The Lagos State's Independent Electoral Commission today issued certificates of return to the newly elected chairman and councillors in the state. APC won in all 57 local government and local councils in Lagos State. A total of 12 political parties presented candidates for the elections.
During the electoral campaign, we gave promises to our people in terms of security, education, women empowerment, youth empowerment. All this area, in fact, before now, my predecessor, he has done a lot. The machinery has been set in motion already. And as we all know, that government is a continuous. When I get into the office, I will continue from where it stopped.
Myself and my vice chairman were happy because we are able to do what we started, to finish what we started. And these are the great opportunity given to us to finish what we started. And that's what the people of Oshodi want. We told them what we're coming back to do. And during our campaign, we tell them about security, we tell them about welfare, we told them about education, and we told them about infrastructure. Those are things why they voted us back, and those are what we intend doing when we get back to set.
7 people have been arrested for parading themselves as officers of the Navy in Rivers State, south of Nigeria. Authorities say they were arrested by the Nigerian Navy shipyard Pathfinder. According to the Navy, the fake officers had defrauded unsuspecting citizens of some money. The suspects will be charged to court after investigation. This is according to the Navy. The British government says it is ready to invest in pipeline infrastructure, renewable energy, gas and power in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Paul Oakright, said the British Department of International Trade was ready to invest in the country. He urged the federal government and the NNPC to organize a roadshow in London to create awareness on the possible investment opportunities available in Nigeria's oil and gas sector.
Yeah, relax. That is my brother and I want him out of this station now. Okay, can I just see the IPO of this case? IPO, how are you?
No, welcome, sir.
That is my brother and I want him out of this station now.
Do you know the offense he has committed, sir?
What do you guys want for the weekend? Okay, let me see your DPO.
This way, sir.
Oh, better. You don't know me here. That boy is my brother and I want you to assist me to free him.
The man found the gun, confessed to robbery.
Things like this happen. 200,000 naira for you.
Are you bribing me?
500,000 naira.
Robbery suspect?
1 million naira.
That is corruption. Not allowed in this division.
1 million.
Remember, police is your friend. Giving and taking bribe is wrong.
Corruption, not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. Up next, it's business news with Fidelia Aguncha.
Thank you, Thelma. The Naira has remained stable at the parallel market. The currency is seen trading at 367 against the dollar, a rate it has been trading for the past 2 weeks. The central bank has been intervening in the exchange market since the Naira fell to 520 against the dollar earlier this year. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, says the high inflation rate and the rising operation costs in the banking sector are some of the major reasons for the high interest rate in the country. According to him, the inflation rate still hovering above 16%. The Apex Bank would be failing in one of its key mandates if it reduces interest rate at this time. The monetary policy rate of the CBN is currently at 14%. Nigeria and Libya have been asked to keep their current oil output levels. Both countries still remain exempted from the current cutback agreement among the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and non-OPEC producers. This was decided at an emergency meeting of oil ministers from the OPEC and non-OPEC frontline producers like Russia today in St. Petersburg. The meeting is aimed at discussing the state of the market and compliance with existing arrangements. The meeting disclosed that compliance among members is currently around 95% with the agreed 1.8 million barrels per day and a deal already extended to March 2018. Oil rose on Monday after leading OPEC producer Saudi Arabia pledged to cut its exports to help speed the rebalancing of global supply and demand. Brent crude futures were up 44 cents on the day at $48.50 a barrel, while US crude rose 39 cents to $46.16 a barrel. Saudi Energy Minister Khalid Al-Falih said his country would limit crude oil export at 6.6 million per day in August.
Corruption not in my country.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, so...
Oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We're only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Okay, which came up with this one now? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
At least 30 people were killed on Monday morning after a car bomb exploded in the Afghan capital of Kabul. Authorities say the Toyota Corolla had exploded in the city's police district 3. Over 42 people were injured in the blast, and there are fears the number of casualties could rise in the coming days. 3 vehicles and 15 shops were damaged or destroyed in the incident. A storm may be brewing in Zambia after the country's governing party adopted President Edgar Lungu as its sole candidate for the 2021 general elections. The controversial candidacy of Lungu is already in court and is likely to divide both the Patriotic Front party and the country. Critics say President Lungu is not qualified to run again after completing the term of late President Michael Sata and then being elected on a full 5-year mandate last year. Zambia's constitution does not allow a candidate to serve 3 terms in office, but those in support of Lungu's candidacy argue that his first term should not count. Nigeria's home-based team have been paired against Benin Republic for a place in the 2018 African Nations Championship. The first leg of the qualifier will hold on the weekend of August 11th till 13th in Benin Republic, while the second leg holds on August 19th in Nigeria. Home-based coach Salisu Yusuf has already unveiled a squad for the match. The CHAN tournament will be held between January 11th and February 2nd in Kenya. Leicester City is close to completing the signing of Manchester City striker Kelechi Iheanacho. The 20-year-old was left out of the squad to the US tour. The fee, according to the English media, is an initial £20 million, which could rise to £25 million. However, reports say there are a number of issues to address in his contract, including whether there will be a buyback clause to allow Iheanacho return to the Etihad. Manchester City has completed the signing of fullback Benjamin Mendy from Monaco in a deal believed to be worth £52 million. The left-back excelled during Monaco's title-winning campaign in League One and was instrumental in the club's Champions League run. He is thought to be the most expensive defender of all time. That's all we have on news now. Thanks for watching. I am Thelma Okoro.